Good evening, everyone. Drake once said, "We started from the bottom, now we here." Within that time span from going from freshman year to senior year, we seniors have learned many lessons that will take us far in life. The most important thing for us to remember as we turn the page into the next chapter of our life are the connections we have made with the friends, the teachers, and most importantly, God. Now, you all may be wondering if you heard me correctly. Did you really just hear the girl that cried about every B that she got say that the most important to her were the connections? And the answer is yes, because truth is, we won't remember the one bad grade we got on a test, the projects that we studied, that we stressed for hours about, or the loads of homework we received over the years. We will remember the people, the stories, and the connections. Like when the senior class went to Paige's house last year to plan a cruise to go on for after graduation. Now we're all sitting here in caps and gowns with no other plans to go on a cruise. But we will always look back at that memory and think of how stupid we were to actually think that that might happen, considering we are poor little high school students about to enter the very expensive next step of adulthood. We will also remember the one time the pre-calculus students gathered up all their snow gear and went outside during pre-calculus hour to throw snow rocks at each other on the one day we should have had a snow day. It was very painful, but the laughs were worth it. Lastly, we'll remember that one time we went to DC and tried to make the boys make TikToks with us. We'll look back at that and we'll think that we were grateful that the boys were being lame losers, because our TikToks wouldn't be as fire if they were in them. Next, as we turn the page to the next chapter of our lives, we have to remember the connections with our teachers. I would like to thank every single teacher and coach here for putting time and energy into putting up with all of our nonsense over these years. You have played a major role in creating who we are today because of the one-on-one connections you make with each and every one of us students. We will remember these connections for the rest of our lives. Like when Paige and I would bombard Pastor Paige's class just to let him know that he had a tickle on him. Or when Mrs. Dahmer decided to be abnormally nice by bringing the class hot chocolate during Algebra 2 class. Or when the whole class would chuckle at Mr. Cotterman's spelling errors on the board all hour long. You could definitely tell he was a science teacher. Or when we would debate over Pastor Baker's Bible class quizzes, and he would respond with, "That's a great argument, and I love the passion, but you're still wrong." Or when every day before the junior class trip class, we would turn off the lights and hide from Mrs. Barnes. You could definitely tell that Mrs. Barnes was annoyed by it, but she still loved us unconditionally. Or when Jones took us to Burger King for algebra class, and all the way back to school we sang Aerosmith's "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing." And lastly, when Dr. Creason assigned Paige and Preston a married couple role in one of the stories we were reading, and that joke stuck ever since. Preston even proposed to Paige at the chart house while we were in DC, but she said no, of course. These are the things we will remember about the teachers, the connections that were more than just teacher to teacher, but student to student, but friend to friend rather. Lastly, the most important of these connections to remember as we turn the page to the next chapter of our lives will be the one we have built with God during our time here. Without this firm foundation found in Him, we would not be equipped to step into the next path in our lives. We have memorized all of those verses and stories we have memorized during these years of high school will be tools we turn back to in the times of struggle that we are guaranteed to go through. Most are not lucky enough to get a Christian education, but we were. So I encourage us seniors to take advantage of that personal connection we have built with God over the years and hang on to that connection through the time of change we will be experiencing. Now, when we look back on our high school career, we are like, whoa, how did we get here? The amount of lessons we learned here are endless, but the one we constantly come back to will be the connections we have built with one another. We know that we can call on Preston if we need a handyman, or Mr. Cotterman if we ever have a tree down. The list goes on. But I want to end with urging you all to go out and make more connections with those around you as you turn the